Well, I'm at the Anderson Valley Brew House brewing company. They make some really nice beers. I like their campfire stout, kind of fun, has a little bit of chocolate flavor to it. But as it turns out, it looks like it's closed today. Not too surprising. In the winter, on a weekday, not going to have a whole lot of tourists flying by, such as myself. However, take a little bit of tour of the area and see what's here. Well, the first thing I'm going to take a look at is their charging station. They have a couple of EV chargers. Again, I don't really need it, but my last try at the charge point station was a fail. So we're going to try it here. They have a whole different system. They have a Clipper Creek charger, which is a different company altogether than the one we were looking at before. So let's take that and see what we can do with it. All right, gotta come around here. We gotta just press the side of this thing right there. Up it comes. Now this particular plug doesn't work with this particular socket, and that's why we've got an adapter that I was waving around earlier. Here's the adapter. I'll put it on the end of this plug, and now the plug looks like that. So we'll go ahead and plug it in, see what happens. Well, it looks like it had a handshake, and it looks like it's starting to charge. That little blinking green T is indication that the handshake and charging is working okay. Let's take a look at what kind of current we're getting out of this particular charger. Shouldn't be extremely high, probably I would guess 30 amps, something like that. So let's see, here we are. And it looks like we're charging currently at 24 amps, which of course is not excessively large, but it's not bad either. So we'll just let it charge while I'm wandering around the campus here. We're here on the backside of the Anderson Valley Brewery, and you can see we have a lot of chairs set up. Looks like a very nice picnic area. Come out, get yourself a few beers, and enjoy the afternoon. Maybe you could play a little bit of cornhole. That seems like a nice little pastime with Anderson Valley Brewing's own label. That's fun. You can see out in the field one of the disc golf nets out there. I think we'll have to zoom in so you can see it better. There it is. I didn't bring any of my discs today, so I'm not going to try that. But would be a nice place to go throw around the old disc, circular disc. Looks like next door we have a goat field. Got a few goats that are penned up. They don't seem to be too much interested in talking to me, but guess they could come over here if they were interested in saying hi. Well, I'm not expecting to take a tour, but you can see from the windows that they've got some pretty massive kettles where they're brewing up some beer. In front of the brewery, it looks like a parking area with a very large solar panel array, probably to deflect the costs as well as the irregularity of some of the power around here. Well, that was another twisty, windy road to come over from Boonville back to the coast. I'm here in downtown Point Arena, and I'm just standing outside of the Point Arena Theater. It is a non-profit, not-for-profits, but they still have a lot of very interesting movies that they show here. In addition to movies, they also have a number of music activities. They show the opera from the Met, and looks like they have some parties. Right now they're showing the Oscar shorts that are Oscar nominated shorts. So it's a nice theater, and I'm glad they are able to keep it going. It's about 5 o'clock today and most of the stores are closed, but we have a Mexican restaurant, we have a little liquor store, and we have a market across the street, and there are a few stores that are closed. Coffee store, library. Point Arena is also an incorporated city, and so it does have a few resources that other towns don't have. We're on the home stretch from Point Arena to Gualala. We'll see you there. My last stop is in Gualala. Beautiful downtown Gualala. The hotel has a sign that says 1903, which is certainly a historic hotel. Unfortunately, it's closed. It would cost a lot of money to renovate it, I'm sure, and bring it up to modern standards. The downtown of Gualala is not quite as picturesque as it is in Point Arena, but they do have a lot more stores. And one of the things it has is 2 gas stations, which I don't believe there's any up at Point Arena. The Surf Market is a store that I often go to when I'm in Gualala, and they have a pretty nice selection of stuff. But across the street, the Gualala supermarket also has a good selection and somewhat cheaper prices for some things. But when I'm in Sea Ranch, I often visit Gualala and pick up my stores and my food here. But we'll be, at this point, heading back to the Sea Ranch and say goodbye to the town.